Real quickly before we begin, I want to thank this video's sponsor, CarMarshal.com. CarMarshal.com can save you lots of money on buying used or new vehicles, cars, trucks, school buses. If you want to save money, I'll have a link in the description down below. I know I'm going to
GA teacher recorded in rant calling white students European killers. Sandy Malone. By Sandy Malone. 6 days. Edited. A Georgia mother pulled her daughter, pictured, out of school after the teacher called her daughter a European killer. Hampton, Georgia, a public school teacher accused her white preteen students of being European killers during a Black History Month rant against Donald Trump. This happened at the same school that recently gave students an assignment to write letters to Congress demanding gun control. Kimberly Orihula told Blue Lives Matter that she was horrified by a number of things that she'd seen at Hampton Middle School since her family moved back to their hometown of Hampton in December. Her daughter, Josie, was a 6th grader at Hampton on February 1 when she texted her mother to come get her at school, quickly. I received a text from my 12-year-old daughter at school saying, "Please mom, you have to come get me. Please mom, I'm scared. Mom, you have to come get me. My teacher's mad at me," Kimberly said. She said she dropped everything and headed for the school. When she arrived, her daughter told her that she had made her teacher angry in class, and that she was afraid. Josie confessed to her mother that she had made a recording of her teacher's classroom rant that so disturbed her. She was worried that she was going to be in trouble because cell phones are prohibited from being used in classrooms. Her mother told her not to worry, and took her home where she had her daughter upload the recording to YouTube so she could listen to it. She said that she found it painful to listen to the more than 15-minute lecture delivered to a 6th grade social studies class by Johnetta Benton. Josie told Blue Lives Matter that she started recording Mrs. Benton right after the teacher told the class that when Donald Trump talked about Make America Great Again, MAGA, he was actually talking about bringing back segregation. Maybe he's talking about it was great during segregation in the 60s. Is that what he's talking about? Maybe it's not that either. Maybe he's talking about the 70s, when we had the Black Panther movement because people were still not being treated equally. We were still fighting for our rights. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Or maybe he's talking about the 90s when we had police officers beating Rodney King in the street. And people were looting because police officers were beating up and killing African Americans, Benton ranted to her 6th grade social studies class in the recording. Now we're in the 2000s, and we're still having the same issues. So when my president says let's make America great again, when was he talking about? When was he talking about? The teacher asked her students in a strident tone. He must be talking about when it was great for Europeans. Because when it comes to minorities, America has never been great for minorities. And even now it makes me go and I'm trying to figure out when it was great. And then now he's trying to stop immigration, Benton said. In the video, Benton told the class that Europeans, Christopher Columbus, specifically, stole America from the Native Americans, resulting in the Trail of Tears. They put them on reservations. Is that the great America he wants us to return to? Or maybe it's segregation. Now I'm not saying that's what he wants, it just makes me go she said. 'Cause when I examine history, I can't remember a time when it was great for anybody other than the Europeans. At one point Josie raised her hand to be acknowledged. What past is he talking about? Help me understand, Benton said to Josie on the recording. But it was great at some points in between, but it hasn't always been great, Josie began to respond. But now we're talking about stopping immigration to make it great again. You think it would make it great again? Benton grilled her. Josie told her mother that she was trying to point out that Benton was talking about Christopher Columbus and not the recent history of the country that President Trump was talking about. She was correct in saying that maybe the teacher was going too far back, Kimberly said. When President Trump talks about making America great again, he means he wants to bring back jobs and have manufacturing in the United States again. She said she did not like hearing that Henry County schools were teaching this twisted opinion and interpretation of history. The teacher seemed to ignore Josie's opinion and ranted on. So we've had great moments where lots of things have been changed. History as a whole has had a lot of moments and we've made a lot of progress. I would say instead of saying, oh let's make it great again, I'd say let's make it even better. Because when you say let's make it great again, I'm thinking, wow, there were so many things wrong outside of cultural wrongs. There were gender wrongs just for being a woman. Your husband could beat you and you called the police and they'd say he has the right to do it, so I would not say go back, I would say continue. Benton lectured, unable to stop talking about the president's campaign slogan. So when you say again, and I am a minority person. I think when was it so great? When? We have had great moments, the teacher invited input from her students. Josie tried to answer the questions posed once again. A little bit before Obama was president there were illegal immigrants and there were immigrants. But too many illegal immigrants unintelligible. He's probably talking about the point before all of illegal immigrants were killing Americans. I have not heard about a lot of illegal immigrants killing Americans, Benton scoffed in the recording. At that point, a second teacher in the room interrupted Josie to set the record straight. Even on that, Josie, what you've got to understand is that you, all of us here are all illegal immigrants, Mr. Stroud told the class. Because America belonged to somebody else, Benton added. Because America belonged to somebody else, Stroud continued. So when they came over here, people who are of African descent, we were brought over with no choice because we were made slaves. People from European descent, they came over and took the land from the Native Americans. So technically, the people that you're talking about are actually no worse than the people who came over here and set up this great America because they all were illegal immigrants too, he said. There is nobody in this country that hasn't immigrated other than Native Americans. Every person sitting in this room is an immigrant. Every one of you. So when you say immigrants are killing people, you are talking about yourselves, Benton added. But then she changed her mind, and decided that the word immigrant doesn't actually apply to African Americans. Because Europeans came from Europe. You are immigrants. You are illegal immigrants. Because you came and just took it? You are an immigrant. This is not your country. But together we made it into what it is. We made it into what we call a melting pot. It's our country now. But we all immigrated except African Americans, Benton explained on the recording. We didn't immigrate, we didn't have a choice. We were given no choice. We were in chains and told we're property. You have no rights. You have no say. You do what we say. You eat what we eat. You sleep when we say you can sleep. And you die if we say you're gonna die today, you're gonna die today, the teacher said, getting wound up. That's the real history of America. Benton shrieked at the class. Then the teacher started to literally point her finger at the 5 white students in the classroom. Josie told Blue Lives Matter. So every person in here, unless you're a Native American, and I sure don't see any in here, I could be wrong, we're all immigrants. So when you say immigrants are killing folks, that's us. That's you, and you. Benton pointed to the white students in the room, starting with Josie. She only pointed to the white kids, Josie said. She pointed directly at me with that one finger on the first U. She gave me a death stare. It was scary, the 6th grader said. My forefathers did not immigrate. My forefathers were brought over here in chains. And that's how you got black people in America, the teacher informed her class. And then Benton began ranting about how she disagreed with President Trump's immigration policy. So you want to talk about somebody else? Before you talk about somebody else, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your ancestry in the mirror before you start saying you're bad, and you're bad, and you're bad so you can't come. 'Cause you happen to kill a few people, but guess what, my people have killed millions, Benton said, speaking as though she were a European immigrant. Not a few. Millions upon millions. Babies included. And you can't say just because you're Mexican American your people can't come because a few Mexicans killed somebody. Well, you killed millions, the teacher said, pointing at the white students, according to Josie. Who stopped you? You have a wall being built between Europe and America now? They gonna build one of those? Or are we now going to say, oh, only unintelligible Europeans can come over here? We gonna do that? We could stop Europeans coming in. Would that be right? This is a melting pot. The recording ended there, but Kimberly said there was more that they hadn't uploaded to YouTube. I had to explain to my daughter that she's not an illegal immigrant, and that Make American Great Again doesn't mean that Trump wants slavery and segregation back, Kimberly told Blue Lives Matter, clearly furious. I was livid. What in the hell? This is your Black History Month lesson? What does Donald Trump have to do with Black History Month? And why would it ever cross anybody's mind that MAGA stands for what this teacher turned it into, the mother asked. I had to stop listening in the first couple minutes to take a deep breath. I was like, can it get worse than that? And it actually did, Kimberly said. She said the purported Black History Month lecture was the final straw, and she put their home up for sale almost immediately. I had to get my kids out of the Henry County schools, Kimberly said. She basically told these children that they were responsible for millions of deaths. Why is she saying that every white child is the descendant of a slave owner? That's just not true, she said. I told my daughter I was proud that she had the nerve to ask the questions, that she called her out on the fact Trump is talking about illegal immigrants, not legal immigrants, Kimberly said. But when she told the kids to go home and look in the mirror and reflect on what their ancestors have done, I had had enough, the mother said angrily. Kimberly said she met with Hampton Middle School Principal Purvis Jackson and that he agreed with her when he listened to the recording of Benton. Principal Jackson was very objective and professional, and you could tell he was extremely disappointed with his teacher, and with his staff. That's just my opinion, she said. She said the principal asked her how the situation could be fixed and she told him that she wanted the students who had been given the twisted history lesson to be taught the correct curriculum in a new lecture. He agreed to make sure it was done. Kimberly said the principal kept his word, eventually, having a new lecture delivered to the students more than a month later, on a day when her daughter was absent from class. J.D. Harden, communications coordinator for the Henry County Schools, told Blue Lives Matter that the situation had been addressed with both teachers who were in the classroom when the recording was made. As a district, we do not condone teachers taking political stances in the classroom, Harden said. The appropriate leadership has taken up the matter to make sure these actions aren't continued, he said. But Harden refused to elaborate on what corrective action had been taken with the teachers, citing human resources policy restrictions. Parents from Hampton Middle School told Blue Lives Matter that Benton has maintained her teaching position at the school, but that Stroud has since left the school for reportedly unrelated reasons. Harden said the school does not condone what was heard on the recording of Benton in class, nor did they approve of the writing assignment given to the Hampton Middle School 7th grade social studies class, that required them to write a letter to Congress demanding stricter gun control a few weeks later. It is important that people know that we don't condone the actions, and people should also know corrective measures have been taken to ensure this doesn't happen again, Harden explained. Whatever may happen, Kimberly said it's too late for her daughter. Their family moved back to Gray, Georgia in Jones County, and Josie has been enrolled in a new school with a less liberal teaching agenda, the mother said. Nobody's stopping the liberal agenda in the classroom, she said. I'm part of the silent majority they're always talking about, except I'm not going to be silent anymore. You can hear the recording of the teacher's rant below.
about the 70s when we had the Black Panther movement because people were still not being treated equally and we were still fighting for our rights. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Or maybe he's talking about the 90s when we had a police officer beating Rodney King in the street and people were looting because the police officers were beating up and killing African Americans. Maybe that's what he's talking about. So it's not the 90s? Then we in the 2000s and we still having the same issues. So when my president says let's make America great again, when was he talking about it? He must be talking about when it was great for Europeans. Because when it comes to minorities, America has never been great for minorities. And even now, it makes me go, when I'm trying to figure out when was it great, and then now he's trying to stop immigration. But wait a minute, hold on. Immigration means people from other countries coming to America. He wants to stop it, build a wall, keep them out. I don't want to go. So maybe he wants it great again like it used to be for the Europeans. We're going to say, no, that can't be it because the Statue of Liberty represents freedom for all. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and that came from France. We got the Statue of Liberty from a foreign country because they recognized that the United States was a place where people could come and be free and express their opinions and thoughts and ideas and have equal rights. So France said, we're going to ship this Statue of Liberty. That's going to be equality for all. Immigrants used to come over and shift, and the first thing they saw when they got here was the Statue of Liberty. And they thought, oh, we are free. But then he's stopping immigration. So if our country is built on people being able to come over with freedom, so why does he want to stop it? Stop. And then I'm thinking, but you know, if he don't want the immigrants to come over, wait a minute, who did America belong to at first? The Native Americans. So who were the first immigrants to come over here? The Europeans. Christopher Columbus and the Europeans got on their little boats and they came over to America. That wasn't their land. Took it. Enslaved the Native Americans. Took their land. Because when I look around, I don't see no Native Americans around. Where they at? When I go to the grocery store, I don't see no Native Americans in the grocery store. When I go to the mall, I don't see no Native Americans. What happened to them? Oh, I remember. The Europeans took over the land, marched them, something called a Trail of Tears, thousands of them back. The one they didn't kill, they marched them on a little Trail of Tears and say, in this big whole United States, y'all get to live right here in Oklahoma. That's all y'all got to do. And they put them on reservations and took all their land. Is that the great America he wants us to return to? Yes. Or maybe it's segregation. I don't know which part he's talking about. He might be talking about stop. Now, I'm not saying that's what he wants. That, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. It just makes me go, because when I examine history, I can't remember a time when it was great for anybody other than the Europeans. I can't remember. And then I read this poem that actually was like, America means this and this, but America does not mean America for me. And I said, wow. When I read that, my mouth just went all the way to Trump's little slogan about America. I wasn't even thinking about that until I read the poem. And I'm like, you know what? He wants America to be great. But what time period he talking about? Because if you're asking me, we don't need to return to things that happened in the past. To me, America is the greatest that it's ever been, right now. We got schools with Mexican Americans, African Americans, European Americans, whoever wants, Polish Americans, Irish Americans, whoever wants to go to school and be the same innovations, more technologies. Times now are better than they ever been. When I grew up, wasn't no cell phone. When I grew up, weren't no computers. So what are we returning to? We are returning to what? You can't be talking about technology and innovations, because innovations in the past weren't as good as they are now. So he can't be talking about let's return to being innovative, because we're more innovative today, and in the future will be even better. So if he's not talking about technology, not talking about let's go back to being great because we had so many wonderful things in the past, what past is he talking about we want to return to? Help me understand.
I think you're looking too far back in the past rather than the more recent past.
What recent past was it great? What past he talking about? Go ahead.
There isn't really a past where it was great, but I think you're looking way too far back for him to.
Oh, I went from Christopher Columbus, and then I moved up to slavery, then I moved up to segregation, which is the 60s, then I moved up to the 90s, and then after the 90s is 2000, and we're still having a lot of issues. So, what has changed?
It was great at some points in between, but it hasn't always been great.
It hasn't always been great, and there's a lot that was not great. So, y'all would need to pinpoint. Again, it was great at some point, but now we're talking about stopping immigration to make it great again. Do you think that would make it great again? Go ahead.
What I want to do is talk about Josie when she said it was great at some point. I think it was not being great at some point. They had great moments where it achieved something, but that doesn't necessarily mean it as a whole was great at a moment. Because we have moments where we achieve something. Y'all have moments where people have moments where they don't pass a test and they still end up failing the class because they had a great moment where they succeeded in one area.
Moments. There was freedom of the slave. That was a great moment. There was
No,
people voting for women. That was a great moment. No matter what color. The one time women couldn't vote. I know we're not going back that great now. And then now women can vote. Women could not vote at one time. But then somebody passed a law, women can vote. We got sparks in our heads just like men. I'm not talking about black women, I'm talking about no woman could vote. Used to be a time that a woman worked in a job alongside a man, and because she was a woman, she got paid less. Did the very same job, she got paid less. But we've had great moments where lots of things have been changed. So not just in African American world, but history as a whole has had a lot of moments, and we've made a lot of progress. I would say, instead of saying going back or let's make it great again, I would say let's make it even better. Because when you say let's make it great again, I'm thinking, wow, there were so many things wrong outside of cultural wrongs. There were gender wrongs just for being a woman. Your husband could beat you and you call the police and they say he has the right to do that. Because you're married. And somebody had changed that law and said, oh, no, that's not what that means. But we've made a lot. I would not say go back. I would say continue with great moments. Moving what way? Forward. Let's go. Let's make it even better. So when you say again, and I am a minority person, I guess I think was it so great when we have had great moments. Go ahead.
A little bit before, and I'm not being racist, but a little bit before Obama was president, there were illegal immigrants and just regular immigrants, but too many illegal immigrants were coming in and killing most of America. So he's probably talking about the point before all of the illegal immigrants were killing America.
I have not heard of a lot of illegal immigrants killing Americans. Go ahead.
Well, even on that, Josie, you got to understand that you, all of us in here
Are immigrants.
are all illegal immigrants. So to even
Because
go,
America belongs to
America belongs to somebody else. So when they came over here, people who are of African descent, we were brought over here with no choice because we were made slaves. People from European descent, they came over here and took the land from the Native Americans. So technically, the people that you're talking about actually really ain't no worse than the people who came over here and tried to set up and attempted to set up this great America, because they all were illegal immigrants too.
There's nobody in this country that hasn't immigrated other than Native Americans. Every person sitting in this room is an immigrant. Every one of you. So when you say that immigrants were killing people, you are talking about yourself. Because Europeans came from Europe. And that's white America. You are an immigrant. You are an illegal immigrant because you came and just took it. Took it and slaughtered and murdered the people that were here. You are an immigrant. This is not your country. But together we've made it into what it is today. We've overcome all of that other wrongs. We've overcome, and together we have boots, we have Michigan, we have this, we have that. And we made it into what we call a melting pot. It's our country now. But we all immigrated except for African Americans. We didn't immigrate. We never immigrated. We got over here because we were enslaved and chained. We didn't like the Polish, like the Europeans, like the Irish. Make a choice and say, you know what, I want to go somewhere else for a better future. We didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice. We were given no choice. We were put in chains and told your property. You have no rights. You have no say. You do what we say. You eat what we eat. You sleep when we say you can sleep. And you die. If we say you're going to die today, you're going to die today. If I want to take your child and give it away, I'm going to give it away. If I want to take your child and kill it, then you are my property. That's the real history of America. So every person in here, unless you're a Native American, and I sure don't see any in here, I could be wrong, we're all immigrants. So when you say the immigrants were killing folks, that's us. That's you, and every race that's in here. Because you're all, we are all, and I won't say we, because I'm not an immigrant. I didn't make it through. My forefathers did not immigrate. My forefathers were brought over here in chains, and that's how you got black people in America. We didn't have to. And guess who did that? Not the Native Americans.
The Europeans.
So you want to talk about somebody else? Before you talk about somebody else, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your ancestry in the mirror before you start saying you're bad, and you're bad, and you're bad, so you can't come. Because you happen to kill a few people, but guess what? My people have killed millions. Not a few. Millions upon millions upon millions of people. Babies included. Oh, boy, everybody knows that. Maybe there should be rules and regulations, I understand that. But to just say, nope, not happening, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Look in the mirror. Because you're an immigration child. This land did not belong to you. But it now belongs to everybody. So guess what? When you make rules and laws, you got to think about everybody else. Everybody that helped to make this country what it is today. And no one person or race or whatever is any better than another race, because every race has murdered, killed, and did everything else. So you can't say just because you're Mexican American, your people can't come because a few Mexicans killed somebody. Well, you killed millions. Who stopped you? Do we have a wall being built between Europe and America now? They gonna build one of those? Or are we gonna now say, oh, only this many Europeans can come over here? We gonna do that? Because look at what we did. Maybe we need to stop letting Europeans come in. They should take over everybody. Would that be right? Because too many have worked. Abraham Lincoln was a European and he freed the slaves. So I'm not gonna ever point the finger and say, oh, Europeans need to be kept out of America. I think Mexicans no, because it's up to European to free us. I was a white person. So I'm not going to ever say one is all bad. Or just because of what a few did, we're going to just ban everybody. This is a melting pot. We got to work together.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I just wanted you to know that I am using this stuff under fair use. And also remember to like and subscribe this channel. Also too, keep in mind I do not make any money on YouTube. This is 5 hours work a day, fighting for freedom. And you can donate with PayPal and Patreon. I just want you to think about this. If everybody gives to PayPal and Patreon is every month. Actually, PayPal you can do every month. I have 12,000 subscribers. If everybody gives, I can quit my regular job and go full-time investigations on Charlotte County and possibly even more and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If everybody helps out, I can go full-time doing this. Thanks.